There's a tornado right there. Guys, everybody go.
The wind started howling, and you could hear the roar coming.
Looks like a 5,000-pound bomb hit the middle of town and blew up.
Holy get it done! Oh my God!
This is an emergency. You go to a safe place right now.
I knew the direction it was heading, and I knew my baby was in that path.
Oh my God! Oh!
As temperatures rise all around the globe, natural disasters are becoming more violent and more frequent. Extreme weather survivors have captured the intensity and the magnitude of these events. These are first-hand accounts of a planet gone rogue. April 27th, 2011 was the worst day on record in Alabama. 62 tornadoes touched ground and 252 people died in less than 24 hours. James Spann spent most of that day on live TV, trying to save lives.
Get away from the door!
The most important part of my job is to provide adequate warning for storms that can kill people. And if we're not successful at that, we're not successful at anything.
At 5:40 a.m., James Spann joins his colleague, Jason Simpson, who's been on the air since 3:30 a.m.
I want to show you this from the graphic system. The Storm Prediction Center has placed Alabama in a high risk of severe weather today.
We all knew it was going to be bad. It's going to be one of the worst severe weather days that we'd ever seen.
We've got James Spann.
Thank you very much. When he walked in the door, for me, there was a feeling of comfort because I knew I wasn't going to keep fighting this fire alone.
In addition to radar and satellite data, Spann and Simpson rely on professional storm spotters to provide what they call ground truth.
We were one of several teams that worked for James Spann at his TV station. So our job is to find storms in northwest Alabama, and when they start happening, to give visual confirmation.
45 years in the weather business, and I've never seen a tornado, and somehow or other, I just had this knowledge that I was going to see one on this day.
Brian and Tim meet in the city of Jasper, an hour northwest of Birmingham, where Spann's TV station is located.
Around 2 p.m., we notice an odd-looking cloud approaching us.
Brian, is that a rain-free base over there, sir?
I was just trying to decide that.
I mean, this storm looks so weak on radar, it doesn't even seem possible.
Doesn't look like much at all. Lo and behold, it comes over us, and as it comes over us, we see that telltale sign, a rain-free base and a wall cloud, and in addition to that, the wall cloud is rotating.
I see rotation. I see rotation. Check it out, Brian.
Yep.
Rotation. We have rotation.
It takes a severe thunderstorm to make a tornado. If wind shear causes the mid-levels of a thunderstorm to rotate, a mesocyclone is formed. And if the rotating winds then descend to the ground, the result is a tornado.
Where's the cell phone?
Tim places a call to the National Weather Service and informs them of what we're seeing as storm spotters.
This is Tim Cullman. I am on Highway 78, just west of Jasper, and I'm watching a rotating wall cloud. That creature's coming right at us. I got to get back in the truck.
They immediately issued a tornado warning.
This is an urgent message. This is a tornado emergency for the city of Cullman.
Lauren Minot was aware of the tornado warning when she left her house and headed to work in downtown Cullman. But for Lauren and most people who've grown up in the area, tornadoes and tornado warnings are just a routine part of life in rural Alabama.
I had the radio on, but I wasn't really paying attention to the weather until it beeped really loud and said there was a tornado in South Cullman County.
The National Weather Service in Huntsville has issued a tornado warning for extreme southeastern Madison County in north central Alabama, southwestern Jackson County in northeast Alabama.
I get just about in town, and I'm looking around because they're still saying that there's a tornado. And finally I see it.
Our store best car.
Oh my God.
Better prices every day.
Holy crap. At this point, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I have to get out of here. So I turn around thinking that I'm gonna have time to get out the way.
Friday, April 29th is the final day to shop the Willow Tree Hotel.
And it hits me. It sounds like someone is throwing rocks at my car. And at this point, I feel like I'm being lifted up because I had that weird feeling in my stomach. You know, like when you're riding a roller coaster.
The tornado scooped up the car and dropped it in a parking lot next to the road. Fortunately, Lauren escaped without injury, even though she ignored all the warnings.
In 2011, about 80% of all tornado warnings were false. A warning was issued, nothing happened at your house. And after repeated warnings like that, where nothing happens, it's cry wolf, the boy that cried wolf. And we know that people seek confirmation when they hear a warning. They believe it when they see it. They turned on the television, and we had the live stream of the tornado. There it is.
And again, this is coming right through the middle of downtown Cullman. You can see the debris.
The live streaming images broadcast on TV left no doubt in Kim Cross's mind that this storm was dangerous and deadly. She's a journalist and longtime Alabama resident.
When we first saw Cullman on TV, you get this terrible feeling in the pit of your stomach. You think, my God, people could be dying. I'm watching on TV as people are dying. You know, I grew up with tornadoes. I remember being in first grade and having to do tornado turtle, where you get down in the hallway and put your, crawl up in a ball and you put your hands over your head and protect your head.
The tornado turtle is a leftover from a nuclear bomb awareness film dating back to the Cold War era. And the air raid sirens, many installed during World War II, are no match for the deafening roar of a tornado.
You might hear a siren on a calm day with no storm, but during a raging thunderstorm that is 65,000 feet tall, with a tornado and driving rain, in unbelievable thunder, you can't hear a siren. They're worthless. But if they see a tornado live on television, then they will do something.
The Cullman tornado was an EF4. EF stands for Enhanced Fujita, a scale which classifies tornadoes from 0 to 5 depending on the wind speeds and the damage they inflict. The Cullman EF4 stayed on the ground for more than 65 kilometers, and close on its heels, an EF5 tornado slammed into the city of Hackleburg.
So if you have family that live in Lawrence County, up around Moulton and Hatton, call them now. Let them know that there's a large, violent tornado on the ground moving across Lawrence County.
After it flattened a Wrangler jeans factory, the EF5 continued northeast, headed straight towards Carrie Kirby and her family and friends.
The last thing they said on TV before we lost power was it just hit Phil Campbell. It's headed towards Mount Hope. If you're in the path of Mount Hope, get out. So we got in the truck and came down here and got in. And it was bad.
It was bad.
Carrie's neighbor, Billy Little, is a chicken farmer. Just a few hours before the twister hit, Billy saw Carrie and her husband Hal in town and invited them to ride out the storm in his cinder block shelter.
You know, it was real black back in there. You know, it's just a black cloud. But yet I was looking back in there over in woods, and the tornado was drawing that energy, and it was clouds. I mean, big clouds just rushing towards it. You know, it looked like it was doing 200-300 miles an hour. You could see a wall of rain and stuff moving
I saw
that way.
Black and gray mist looking that it was rolling in front of that wall.
Hail the size of golf balls started dropping from the sky, the telltale sign of the cold front that fueled the twister.
Then me and Billy were looking at the balls of ice, and one hit you on the hand, didn't it?
It hit me on the hand, and my son, he was running, and one hit him on the head before he could get in there.
and then I could see gray smoke just rolling towards us. And that scared me to death when I saw that. So I got back in the shelter and sat down, and I was silently praying they would hurry up and get in the shelter and close that door.
Hey, it's coming right over us. Yeah, I ain't never seen nothing like this. Hey, look at that, boy, it's getting dark. Look here, Lord, have mercy. I ain't never seen nothing like this.
When they got the door shut, it didn't last but 30 seconds of quiet before we could start hearing the tornado coming, and it sounded like a jet airplane to me.
There's that train. Yeah.
And it just kept getting louder and louder and louder. And then we could start seeing mud and pieces of leaves and trash being thrown up under the door into the shelter with us.
The tornado does not let up, and there's not much to do but hunker down and pray. One of the deadliest super outbreaks in the history of the United States has unleashed a rash of violent tornadoes on the towns and farmlands of Alabama. For the unlucky victims, it seems as if the entire planet has suddenly gone rogue.
Holy crap!
Carrie and her friends find shelter in a bunker to escape an EF5 tornado headed straight for them.
I just was hoping that the roof would stay on and the door would stay shut.
Timmy, it's out on top of us.
Don't open the door yet, please! Don't open the door yet, please!
When the terrifying sound of 320 kilometer-an-hour winds and flying debris finally subside, some of the men try to exit the shelter.
Power line just blowed over the door here.
Well, over our door right here?
Over that door. We stuck.
They're alive and well, but there's no telling what devastation lies beyond that door, or how long they'll be stuck inside. Finished with Mount Hope, the violent long-track EF5 tornado plowed through several more rural towns, leaving behind a wake of destruction over 210 kilometers long, with 72 people dead. But there was more to come, as storm spotters Brian Peters and Tim Cullman would soon discover.
Doppler radar showed this tornado moving northeast at 55 miles per hour.
We hear the emergency broadcast system, that sound that is so unmistakable. It starts listing off times, and it tells us this large tornado will be in Cordova at 4:55 p.m.
The tornado will be near Jasper and Cordova around 4:55 p.m. Central Daylight Time.
Tim's radar application shows two massive thunderstorms, both capable of producing tornadoes. But radar doesn't tell the whole story.
A lot of people think the radar beam just magically hugs the surface of the Earth. It doesn't work that way. Radar goes in a straight line. The Earth curves. So as you get a distance from the radar site, the beam is higher and higher and higher. So in some cases, at a distance from that radar site, your beam might be 5,000 feet off the ground. So we know there's violent circulation 5,000 feet off the ground. We don't know if it's at the surface. And the only way we know that, it's trained spotters.
Tim and Brian are both professional meteorologists. They've studied enough tornadoes to know that what makes them so dangerous is their unpredictability. They know that without warning, a tornado can change direction, turn back on you, or appear when you least expect it. That's why a trained storm spotter never stops evaluating and reevaluating the risk.
We decided, well, let's go for it. And if it becomes too dangerous, we'll stop. So we began to head south.
All right, this will take us straight down to the interstate. We're going to try to intercept a massive supercell with a dangerous tornado that's currently in Pickens County.
We get on Interstate 22 around 4:20 p.m. We know the tornado is back there. We cannot see it because we are in extremely heavy rain. At this point, we realize we can catch this tornado, but we're going to have to drive through the northeast edge of the storm right out in front of the tornado, get south of it so we can see it. So it's a very risky maneuver.
But we're driving into the core now. I don't even think we can do much more.
Just heavy rain.
Given the fact that we now are going to cross directly in the path of the likely tornado, I'm becoming apprehensive about continuing on this journey.
I mean, I don't know, Brian. I just don't want to die. You know? I don't want to die either.
We can do it.
The rain starts letting up and we're seeing a little bit of brighter sky ahead. We knew that when you start getting into that bright area, that's where the tornado is going to be.
Oh, shit. There's hail.
We're going at speeds close to 90 miles per hour. A few hailstones start hitting the car.
Oh, damn. I hear hail.
Oh.
We counted at least 9 bangs as large hail begins to hit my vehicle. They were at least golf ball size.
So we want to get under the overpass. We're getting hail.
Oh, I mean, we're directly in the path of the tornado now.
Brian then starts asking me, should we stop? And I said, no, we cannot stop here. We are directly in the path of the tornado. If we stop here now, we will die.
Just haul ass.
You got a good view coming up right here.
There's the tornado. Okay.
Oh my God, it's there.
I see it. Just keep back, keep driving. Drive. Just keep driving, man, because it's coming at us. Where's my phone? Let me have my phone. Drive.
My first thought was, I need to call James Spann at ABC 3340.
This is Brian Peters. Can you patch me through to James?
My second thought was, it's happening. After 45 years in the field of meteorology, I'm finally seeing a real tornado.
I'm on I-22 and we've got the tornado in sight.
There it is, Brian. My voice goes up an octave. There it is, Brian. So at that point, we stop.
I'm stopping on the interstate to give James a play-by-play of what we can see from our vantage
We can't
point.
stay here long.
I know it.
Multiple vortex tornado.
And there it is. Not a wall cloud, not a rain-free base, a full-fledged tornado.
We got Brian Peters on the line with us. Brian, you're seeing a tornado right now. Tell us what you've got.
Yes, James, we're about a mile from Cordova, exit 72. But I want to tell you right now, it's actually coming in our direction. So we're not going to be able to stay here very long.
Hey, Brian, you get out of there. I mean, if you got to hang up, you go. But have you noticed any debris falling out of the sky?
There's definitely debris now, James. I can see there's a debris cloud near the bottom.
At that point, we've done our job. We have visually identified it, given that information, so then James Spann, the National Weather Service, and be able to tell people, this is not just on radar. This is verified on the ground by 2 professional meteorologists.
While James Spann tracks the Cordova tornado, a second team of storm spotters flags another twister.
John Oldshoe also has a tornado on his live stream.
All right, goodness gracious. That is a large wedge tornado.
2 storm spotter teams are now each tracking 2 separate EF4 tornadoes on live TV.
It was the moment when we could see the lowering behind the trees that we knew what was coming to Tuscaloosa.
We are now calling a tornado emergency for Tuscaloosa and Northport. It's way, way, way too close.
On April 27, 2011, one of the worst tornado outbreaks in U.S. history is barreling through the state of Alabama and has already claimed dozens of lives.
Get away from the door!
The magnitude of this super outbreak has caught everyone by surprise. So far, 43 tornadoes have struck.
There's the tornado. Keep back, keep driving. It's out on top of us.
Don't open the door yet. Please don't open the door yet.
Meteorologists James Spann and Jason Simpson scrambled to get the word out and to save lives. They tracked an EF4 that devastated the small town of Cordova, population 2,100. Now they're streaming live video of another EF4 approaching the city of Tuscaloosa, population 90,000.
So John Oldshoe has a large wedge tornado. I believe John's on Interstate 59. Is that right, Jason?
He's at Knoxville looking up at this thing as it's coming up toward Highway 11.
For the first time today, James Spann and his teams of storm spotters are ahead of the game. They report on a tornado touchdown 50 kilometers outside of the Tuscaloosa city limits.
My job was not to make it the best shot in the world, My job was to get in front of the storm that was going to produce the tornado and get video live back to James.
It just got black and black, more black. I mean, it was just the perfect wedge-shaped tornado.
It doesn't matter what you say when there's a tornado coming through a city. It's too late. It doesn't matter. What matters is what you said 40 minutes ago. And in this case, I don't have to say anything because of John and Ben's live stream. There it is. This is an emergency. You go to a safe place right now.
With a population of over 90,000, about a third of whom are students, Tuscaloosa is one of the biggest cities in the state. Alabama University graduate and journalist Kim Cross has lived here for most of her career.
Alabama is what I always imagined a college would look like. The campus is beautiful. It's around a big green quad, and it's a huge school, and there are apartments and little cottages and rental homes, and a lot of students will get, 3 or 4 roommates and get a rental house. That's what we did. Football is really, really a big deal. On game days, you will see the quad blanketed with tents and carpets and flat screen TVs and lazy boys. I mean, they take it to a new level with the tailgating.
But today is not that kind of day. A large EF4 tornado is fast approaching the heavily populated college town.
Let's look at the Tuscaloosa Skycam. Jason is working that.
While Spann tries to convince his audience to take shelter, 2 young daredevils, Ryan Chandler and Nate Huguet, have ideas of their own.
I'd always wanted to chase a storm, so I posted a tweet about who wants to chase a storm with me. My friend Nate said I'm in.
Nobody should be driving. Everybody down there listening to me on radio in Tuscaloosa, stop now at the next exit, the next convenience store that will let you in.
At this point, it's still lighthearted and fun, and we're making jokes. As we get on 359, we start to be able to see the tornado.
If you know anybody that maybe doesn't have electricity and cannot watch us or listen to us, make a call. Let things huge. The camera, for those of you that are watching maybe for the first time, this is on top of the Tuscaloosa County Courthouse.
We're looking back up a little bit so that it's not so shaky, but look at that.
Right, and this thing is still southwest of downtown Tuscaloosa. Moving north.
That's southwest of downtown Tuscaloosa. There it is. You can see debris in the air.
Look at the debris. Look at the debris in that. Goodness gracious. This will be a day that will go down in state history, and all you can do is pray for those people.
The twister has been on the ground for close to half an hour.
There's a tornado right there. Guys, everybody go.
Wreaking havoc through the city suburbs.
It is right in there.
With smartphones and digital cameras, awestruck residents capture images of the tornado as it marches past.
Oh my God.
Towards the heart of downtown Tuscaloosa at McFarland and 15th Street.
This is a large, violent tornado coming up on downtown Tuscaloosa. Be in a safe place right now. So now we're starting to see the flashes.
There it freaking is. Oh my God. Okay, speed up.
It's out the passenger window, so of course Nate's filming and looking at it, and it's not until it's right on top of us that I actually get my first view of it.
Go, Chandler. Never in my life will I see this again. Oh my God.
I turn the car around so that I have the opportunity to see the storm out the front windshield.
Chandler, do not go back that way.
Nate, film it.
I am.
And it's right there in front of us.
There's 2 of them. We need to go that way.
No,
Chandler, go back.
We're fine.
Chandler, go the back. I'm not kidding.
This being my first opportunity to see the storm, I'm kind of like a moth to light at that point. I'm just gonna sit there, and he yelled at me and told me to go back. So we put the car in reverse down the wrong side of the interstate.
It's crossing the interstate right where we were. Oh my God. You can see huge debris. Oh my God. That thing is destroying everything.
If you have a child on the campus of the University of Alabama, call them and tell them now to go into a safe place. Let's pan over to the left.
Oh, my
Let's take it
goodness.
full.
Look at that.
Are you kidding me?
Look at all the stuff flying around up there.
That's coming over near Interstate 359 in Skyland. Nobody should be out there. This is an extremely violent situation.
I had turned the TV on in Elmore County, and I knew where that storm was. I knew the direction it was heading, and I knew my baby was in that path.
I've got my mom, my brother, my sister, my family, my wife, my 2 boys, all living there, and now I'm not home to protect them.
Students living off campus in ground floor apartments take shelter in bathrooms where pipes in the walls and bathtubs offer protection.
Get back there!
Oh my God!
Holy, look at it, dude! Oh, get inside it! It's fucking massive!
He texted me at 5:12 and he told me, he said, this thing is huge, I'm fine. And I texted him back and I said, so y'all are okay?
Oh, it's right outside. Oh my God!
The phone cut off at 5:13. I knew in that second she was gone.
Moments later, the tornado comes knocking at Will Caruso's door. Incredibly, like so many others, he has the presence of mind to keep recording with his smartphone.
It is exactly 5:14. The tornado is passing over us. Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I love you guys. I love you guys. Holy shit. Holy shit. Lulu, hey! Lulu, got my goal. I got it.
We were all holding on to each other. I was holding on to 2 dogs and trying to pry myself between 2 walls and just doing whatever I could just not to get sucked up.
Oh, God. Windows are going out! The water's coming down. The floor's coming down.
A large tree behind the house fell on top of the roof, and beams from the attic and insulation and drywall came pouring down on top of us.
Oh, God.
The wind is tearing his house apart, but Will's smartphone is still recording.
Something fell on your roof, man. Still pretty windy out there, but... Oh, my God. Look at it. Hold it. Oh, my God. Look at it.
After it passed, the backside of the house was just demolished, just crushed. All the windows are blown in, glass and drywall.
Tornado just passed over the house. The house is destroyed. Oh my God, everything is gone. There's got to be people trapped in there. We got to check on them.
The tornado's fury lasted only 15 to 20 seconds, but the damage it caused was apocalyptic, and it's not over yet. It's still on the ground, on a path towards its next victims.
We're going to get hit by a tornado.
On April 27, 2011, the state of Alabama is under siege.
Oh my God!
That thing is destroying everything.
The Super Outbreak's latest tornado barreled through downtown Tuscaloosa. Now it's headed toward the nearby town of Holt, Alabama. Vietnam veteran and environmentalist John Wathan knows this storm is the real deal.
Here it is, boys and girls.
Our weatherman, James Spann, is normally cool, calm, collected. Nothing rattles this guy.
But I don't want to be so specific. I want everybody in the city limits of Tuscaloosa to stay sheltered.
I heard something in his voice I'd never heard before.
The urgency now is for those of you out here on the eastern side of town, over here toward Cottondale and Holt and Alberta City.
People can read me. I've been here since the Civil War. I'm old as dirt. I've been on television forever. They can read my body language. They can read my voice inflection. And they could see a change when I saw that live stream.
After hearing the edge in James Spann's voice, I took my camera bags, my guitar. I went up there to the storm room that I'd built and put everything inside, started getting the family inside.
Look at the fog coming up out of the valleys. This is spooky.
The creek was evaporating. The barometric pressure was dropping so fast that it was actually pulling moisture out of the creek.
Inside the vortex of a tornado, a vacuum effect occurs. At times when the atmospheric pressure drops and the updrafts are strong enough, it can suck up water from a river into the tornado's funnel. This phenomenon was captured by a weather camera in Springfield, Massachusetts in 2015.
Then it got dark outside, The wind went completely calm, but then it started howling, and you could hear the roar coming. Get down! Get down! It dawned on me that, yeah, this was coming straight at me, and I needed to be underground. That's where I cut it off and ran underground. That's a dumpster in the air right there. When I looked up over the camera and saw that, it's when this is not a viewfinder, this is real.
We're in the storm room.
Listen, I got one bolt locked on the door when it started rattling.
There goes the house.
At one point, we could hear what I thought was the house leaving, but it was actually my neighbor's trailer. It picked his trailer up and slammed it up against the house and just demolished it.
I feel my ears popping.
The barometric pressure went so low that our ears were popping worse than any airplane ride I'd ever been on.
I smell trees. All right, I think it's gone.
Oh, crap!
Oh, my God!
See, that's right out this window here.
My brother Johnny's lost every damn thing. We got roof damage. Oh, my truck! Oh, God almighty!
Have you seen this lately?
No. No. Sorry. It was gone, man.
Oh, my God.
We were bloody lucky. That house was built right after Hurricane Katrina to withstand 200-mile-an-hour winds. I built it.
My God, this son of a bitch. Oh, my God! Oh, my God!
I don't like to watch this.
Oh, my God!
The tornado shows no sign of letting up. It's growing in size and power and becoming more dangerous by the minute.
Holy
freaking huge, man.
This is the storm right here that produced all of the damage in Tuscaloosa County coming up toward Birmingham. And again, it is a clear call to action. There it is right there.
This is going to turn out to be one of the biggest tornadoes that ever hit Alabama, I think.
The tornado is almost 2 kilometers wide. It's headed straight for Birmingham, the largest city in the state, and home to journalist Kim Cross.
When the Tuscaloosa tornado was coming toward Birmingham, it looked like it was on track to hit our house.
We have a large, violent tornado. There's no if, it's a matter of where and when.
After we saw that, our power flickered and died. And when that happens, not only do you lose TV, you lose your lights, you lose all of the whirring, clicking things that happen in a house, and it gets dead quiet. I follow James Spann's Twitter feed, and he tweeted a link to the live stream coverage, so we were able to watch TV on our phones. And at some point, he calls out our neighborhood.
And again, this thing is awfully close to Bessemer, Hueytown, Fairfield. If I've called out your neighborhood, you should be in a safe place.
That's when you think we could die in a few minutes.
Luckily, the EF4 never made it into the center of Birmingham. It changed course, missed the downtown area, and then headed straight to the suburbs.
We came out after the warning expired, and we looked around. There was not a leaf disturbed in our neighborhood, and we thought, well, was that it? And 7 miles away, Pleasant Grove was devastated.
Tornadoes are the Russian roulette of storms. No one can predict when or where they'll strike. And while Kim Cross and her family don't suffer damage or harm, not everyone was so lucky. On April 27, 2011, a record-breaking number of destructive long-track tornadoes strike Alabama. The storm is on a rampage, destroying several $1 billion of property and taking scores of lives. Since the early hours of the morning, meteorologists James Spann and Jason Simpson have been on the air trying to save lives.
The sole reason we're here is to provide lead time for people to go to a safe place of a storm that can kill you. In the case of April 27th, it didn't stop for hours and hours and hours and hours. It was like bullets from hell.
We've got to get through this event so we don't have any more loss of life.
It's now late afternoon, and as the sun lowers on the horizon, the heat that helped fuel the twisters finally begins to dissipate in some parts of the state. And Spann's TV station begins to broadcast damage reports. Storm spotters John Oldshoe and Ben Greer have made it back to Tuscaloosa, their hometown.
It's an obstacle course of overturned cars, upside down trucks, and overturned 18-wheelers. I am finally relieved to get a text from my wife. She says they are fine, don't worry about it.
I look to see all this devastation. John starts sending a live feed back to Spann for the first coverage of Tuscaloosa of the damage that's done.
So that is a live stream coming from John Oldshoe. John is on the scene of that severe damage down in Tuscaloosa.
He tells me, Ben, hop on outside, start taking pictures now. I get out and I realize that about 600 yards from me is where my sister's house used to be. There's nothing there. I pick up my phone and I text my mother. Within 10 seconds, I get a reply, she's fine. She's on her way here.
Just a few blocks away, amateur storm chasers Ryan Chandler and Nate Huguet try to get back home to their families.
I can't even recognize this place.
We see the damage, we see the houses, but what's actually happened a mile down the road, you have no idea.
Light poles down on the road. This thing can't focus quick enough.
So as we pull up behind the storm, a woman comes running up to the vehicle and we tell her to get in.
Come on. Get in, get in. Come on.
Oh my God, my dog.
Are you okay? Hey, are people okay?
I don't know, I can't. Oh my God, my dog dead. Oh my God. Keep on.
We gotta, like there's tons of people out there. I know.
Oh my God.
So at that point, we get out and start digging people out of their houses.
For those living beyond the city limits, finding loved ones is not always easy. The storm knocked down power lines, destroyed relay stations, and communication towers.
We kept calling and couldn't get a response, you know, and that wasn't like him not to answer his phone.
I called many times the hospital, the student health center, Ferguson Center, all of the places that they were telling online and on the news for you to call to locate your student.
So that's when we got in the car and drove to Tuscaloosa.
Pratt City, a bedroom community of Birmingham, has also been hit. That's where Alter lives, but he was lucky. He was at work when the tornado slammed into his neighborhood.
I got a call from a female friend. She says that the storm was in the area. Then I got another call from another one of my neighbors. He was like, you might want to try to get home. I said, man, it's looking like a third world country over here.
Alter's good friend, filmmaker Tig Knight, filmed as they surveyed the damage.
Power lines down, debris everywhere.
Devastation.
Yeah, people just everywhere. Siding thrown everywhere, everything was in the yard. A neighbor's house, I could see directly into his kitchen. And walk in the house and I could just look up and I could see the sky just like I can see it right now. It was almost like it just had a sunroof. The top half portion, the roof was completely gone.
Everything was in disarray and it was devastating. And like I said, knowing where different things were placed and located, and now it's just completely gone. It was your bedroom.
It really didn't sink in until you just had time to sit down and think about it.
Probably felt good that you wasn't home.
Yeah, exactly. Because if I was at home, I was going to either be in one or two places. It was going to be one in my bedroom or two downstairs in the basement. And my bedroom, two of the walls that face outside were actually gone. So, you know, it could have just came, couldn't be here today, so, you know.
What's going through your mind like right now?
I don't know. Rebuild or move?
Yeah.
That's the question.
Yeah.
That's the question right there. Major question.
To stay and rebuild, or leave and begin a new life somewhere else, perhaps even in a safer place? That was the question on a lot of people's minds that day. An unprecedented tornado outbreak strikes the southern United States on April 27, 2011. The hardest hit are the residents of Alabama, where over 50 tornadoes have touched down so far and wreaked havoc. Carrie Kirby and her husband Hal found shelter in Billy Little's bunker, but now they're stuck.
Power lines have flowed over the door here.
Over our door right here?
Over that door. We stuck.
So 3 or 4 of them put their shoulders up against the door and shoved until they got a big enough crack that Hal could stick his head out the door. Billy said, "What do you see, Hal?" And he looked around and he said, "Nothing, Billy. I don't see anything. It's all gone." They all got the telephone pole off the door and we came out and there were just piles of debris everywhere, metal twisted everywhere. We looked over there and the black and white horse that had been in this field right behind us was sticking out the top of one of the chicken houses that was laying on the ground, and he was flailing his head around. And I just couldn't look at that anymore, so we went over towards Billy and Nancy's house to look at what was left over there. His house had been stone, rock, brick, and the walls inside were tongue and groove walls, and there was nothing left that you could recognize in that pile of debris except a rock fireplace sticking up in the middle of it. There wasn't really an option to pick up and move. You just take one day at a time and dig in and build it back.
Further south, the Stevens drive to Tuscaloosa to search for their son William, who has not reached out to them in over 3 hours.
It looked like somebody had come in and dropped a bomb on the place, because you could not drive down McFarland Boulevard.
Will had decided to ride out the storm with a childhood friend, Danielle Downs, and her roommate, Lauren Brown.
The house was surrounded by a lot of trees, and it took the trees down, and one come down and just took the whole house, just centered the house. When they found him, he had one under one arm, one under the other. He was on top of both of them.
Yeah, he was laying over top of them, and they was holding hands. And Lauren's
nails had broken
nail
off into his
print,
hand.
yeah, had broken off into his
She had
hands.
squeezed his hand so tight that her fingernails broke off in his hand.
Lauren's mother, Ashley Mims, found her daughter in a hospital morgue.
She had pieces of debris in her hair, a broken Xbox game, dirt and stuff like that, grass, leaves, mixed in her curly hair. And she was just asleep, is what it looked like.
In all, the death toll was 252, a number that haunts James Spann to this day.
That number will be etched in my mind until the day I die, because that's the death toll. That's the only number I'm focused on. History's going to judge what I did on the Green Wall, but the number of people that died lets me know that there was a lot of things we didn't do right. And yet at the same time, a lot of people that lived, there were some things we did right.
I believe, like he does, that what we do is a service. We want to serve the communities that we love. So when we looked at each other about 11 o'clock that night, when the final tornado warning had ended and we signed off the air, there was nothing to say. There was just a heaviness, there was grief, there was sadness, because this was our state.
Many records were broken that day. The frequency of the tornadoes, the distance they traveled, and their wind speeds. And while much about tornadoes remains a mystery, modern research can increase warning lead times using computer models and ground observations. Because as global temperatures continue to rise, it's likely that the frequency of super outbreaks will also continue to rise. And meteorologists like James Spann can do little more than prepare for the next catastrophe and find new ways to save more lives.
Often in the weather enterprise, we're very guilty of being narcissistic, and we thump our chest, we talk about we saved lives and we're so good. Well, we didn't save 252 in my state that day. I won't accept that, and I'm very driven to find out what went wrong. Let's get in there and fix it. The physical science was excellent. The social science, behavioral science, we have to learn.
Come on, Reeves. Reeves, come on. Reba.